Before terribly famous breakups, like Brad leaving Jennifer for Angie, Jack Nicholson and Angelica Houston were one of the iconic couples that dated for 17 years. But their breakup was even more iconic because you wouldn't believe how Nicholson told Houston that their relationship was over. Finally, after years of wanting Nicholson to pop the question, the actor came to her with the biggest news that left her completely shattered. Before we jump into today's juicy story, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button for more of your favorite celebrity gossip. When the Addams Family actress walked out of a toxic relationship and right into Jack Nicholson's arms, she had no idea that she was entering a roller coaster of a relationship that would take 17 years of her life.
Answer the question, you want to do it?
Well, yeah.
So, let's do it.
When her Royal Tenenbaums co-actress, Gwyneth Paltrow, was too young to attend events alone, she tagged along with her parents and bumped into Houston at a fundraising event. But meeting Houston was not what made her stomach curl from being starstruck. Paltrow looked nervously at Nicholson, saying, "That man scares me." Houston responded, with good reason, adding, "He scares me too." And with his murderous "Here's Johnny" face from The Shining, who wouldn't be afraid of this guy, right? When you close your eyes at night, you could probably still see it. However, that was all acting. It wasn't real life. So what caused Houston to fear her longtime boyfriend? Born the daughter of an acclaimed film director, Houston was invited to all the right places with all the right people. Luckily for the actress, Nicholson's invitation made its way to her. At the actor's birthday party, the two met, and sparks went flying between them. And before she knew it, the night turned to day, and she was only heading back home in the morning. It wasn't long after that the actor followed up their passionate night with a request for a date. Things seemed hopeful until Nicholson canceled, and get this, to allegedly meet his ex-girlfriend, singer Michelle Phillips. Now, we're not sure if this should have been the first red flag for Houston, but it revealed Nicholson's character to the actress. He was living the life of a playboy, and all she wanted wasn't looking to fool around.
The thing about being with somebody who's that much in the public eye and who is that charming and is that charismatic is that you kind of have to go along with the program.
In her second memoir, Watch Me, the actress wrote of a memory she had when Nicholson flirted with a waitress right in front of her. It made her so uncomfortable to the point that she stood up, determined to leave. But Nicholson grabbed her arm, telling her never to walk out on him like that. And since his attention scattered to other women, Houston wrote, "I enjoyed his brief flash of possessiveness." However, Houston said it was hard for her to get mad at the actor for too long. He would balance out his hurtful, promiscuous behavior with acts of kindness, showering her with gifts of affection. Houston received a beautiful Mercedes off the bat from him, which she happened to crash on that same day. It turns out there aren't enough material possessions that could ever replace love and the need for it. And looking back at her life with Nicholson, the moments that made her jealous outweighed those that left her happy, including that of attending a concert with him, just to have another woman sit between his legs for the entire duration of it. "Come on," he said with a sigh, rolling his eyes as if I were boring him to tears. "She's just an old friend." But Houston soon learned that it was his new friends she had to be worried about. Early in their relationship, the actor's model friend confessed that she had slept with Nicholson just a week earlier. And although he had never promised to be faithful to Houston, he seemed to think his actions were acceptable. And maybe that's when Houston realized she was dating the most sought-after man. Not just on the romantic scene, but the acting one too.
I think obviously he's a very fascinating man and people like to know details, so.
As her relationship with Nicholson was progressing, so had the actor's career. From One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining to Batman, each role was just as iconic as the last. And so Nicholson's career skyrocketed to the top, and everybody wanted a piece of the action. And being the skirt chaser that Houston described him to be, Nicholson would give the people what they wanted. At the famous Cannes Film Awards, Houston recalls beautiful French girls who would throw themselves at him, flirtatiously asking him to get on their bike and go for a ride with them. And as if he was not in a relationship, Nicholson would jump at the opportunity. "He'd get on the bike and leave me standing on the sidewalk," she wrote, "and I would just retire to our hotel room in tears." Now, everyone was probably wondering why was she still with Nicholson at that point if she could clearly see that he had eyes for other women. Well, the answer is simple. She was in love, and feelings are not just something someone can bury. The actress constantly dreamt of the day she would officially become Mrs. Nicholson. But unfortunately, that moment never came. And it didn't seem like it would come anytime soon. While watching a show together, Huston taunted her longtime boyfriend, saying, "If you had balls, you'd marry me." Sadly for Huston, her heart was not prepared for the answer she later received. "Jax, marry you? Are you kidding?" drove a heartbroken Angie to weep for 3 days. Later, when clear evidence of his unfaithfulness was exposed, she was still, quote, tragically gullible, convinced herself it wasn't true. Love notes from more of Nicholson's mistresses professing their love to him and thanking him for all the intimate nights they shared. But even then, with such hard proof, Angie forced herself to believe Jack when he denied the accusations. Deep down inside, she still had hope for a life with him, and she wasn't going to let his suspected infidelity get in the way of that. But after all the pain and distrust she had been harboring, the actress decided to make the healthy decision to leave Nicholson. Soon she was caught up in a casual relationship with someone new. But after a few months of being together, her new beau was physically violent with her. Nicholson may have hurt her emotionally, but he had never laid his hands on her. And so the broken-hearted actress went crawling back to the man she truly loved. But she hoped this time things would be different. Sadly, they had only worsened. The actress would find different feminine items that weren't hers around Nicholson's place. And even worse, she recalled bumping into a girl on the street who had on her jacket. "Sometimes I'd take to wearing the jewelry to see if anybody would come up and claim it, but that never happened," she said of the different possessions she found lying around. Fortunately for the actress, her career was also becoming equally as successful, and she had something to be happy about. Huston took home her first Oscar for Prizzi's Honor. And who could deny that Morticia Addams deserved a nod from the Academy too? With both their careers blossoming and after so many years had passed, it was safe to think that Nicholson was finally ready to settle down. And well, though he may not have been ready, something forced him to be. Awaiting for Jack to pop the question, Huston was invited to his house for a special dinner. Was this finally the moment? Would Jack finally propose? Well, one thing was for certain. He had big news he wanted to share with his longtime on and off girlfriend. Someone is going to have a baby, the actor shared. Well, that would be rather bizarre for Huston to have been pregnant without even knowing. Sadly, that someone was model Rebecca Broussard, a young lady who was 12 years younger than Huston. Aside from the crippling pain and frustration that came with the news, Angie may have also been confronted with the insecurity of not feeling good enough, pretty enough, young enough. And she took all those emotions out on Nicholson the first chance she got. After hunting him down in his office, Huston could find no other way to let out her emotions than to land multiple blows on Jack. She unleashed all the rage she had held in for all those years, all the time she believed him while he lied straight to her face, all the feminine belongings that weren't hers, and the humiliation he had brought her. Knowing the pain he had caused her, Nicholson did not resist the punches. I felt a strange underlying gratitude to him for allowing me to beat the living hell out of him. Though they were able to laugh about it later, the breakup had completely torn Angie apart. Jack went on to have another child with the same woman. And lucky for Huston, she finally found a man who wanted to marry her. After 16 years of marriage, just 1 year short of her and Nicholson's relationship, her husband passed and Huston was alone again. But this time, she was not going to go back to Nicholson. She had learned her lesson and was moving on for the better. Well, that concludes our tragic love story for today. Thank you for choosing Rumor Juice.